to be fair. And I can't take Lyle anywhere, so he's been yelling random stuff while I'm dropping the intros and just trying to say things. Good evening, everyone. I braved the transfers and everything else to get back to lovely Toledo, Ohio today. And there is no direct flights, by the way, to Little Rock. Apparently that's not a thing. So...
Are you telling me that people don't aggressively try to get to and from Arkansas?
Exactly. Apparently that is not a thing. So
can you blame them?
But I have to give shout outs to everybody out there. Borrowed some armies. Blake took care of me, met a lot of cool people and hung out. It was a great time. Things happened, stuff or things went down, and we had a wild weekend. I want to say we're going to give some shout outs to Thomas Bird and the Pro Tabletop guys for winning the ATC 8-player team championship. And we got a pretty crazy meta to talk about today. I'm excited to chat about this.
I mean, if you look at everything that won, it is all over the place. There's some stuff you expected to be near the top in a lot of these, but it is wild.
I mean, it was crazy. So I love it though. I like where the meta is. You have to prepare for so many different things. Well, okay, you know what? We're gonna dig deep into it. But first off, I want to really hit just what our top takes from the weekend were. I'll start with you, Brian.
My top take from the weekend is if you're an army specialist and you know your index, codex, and anything, you can do well in this meta because you know what your army does well, and I think that's a big takeaway from this weekend.
What about yourself, Lyle?
I was particularly intrigued at how Space Marines are both being heralded as having the best list in the game right now and being the worst army in the game. I think that's a nice. That really explains where the meta's at right now.
God, SKR flyers, boo. So, but I think that there's so many things we got. I wouldn't say it's rock, paper, scissors, but I would say that there's a lot of things that are really viable that haven't been viable in a long time. It's funny because as we were driving back, Blake, yeah, you know what? I'll sidestep into this. As we were driving back after the weekend where Blake had lost his phone, had to get a new phone, forgot his license at his house, and did not have any of his stuff. Why, I know that he doesn't have it because we got pulled over and given a warning by a very friendly police officer. So things went down. But we were talking about a demon list. Lo and behold, demons with a 50% win rate, which is what I took over for the weekend. I just think that there's so much play for a lot of armies that didn't see play before because the meta is changing so much.
I
think the demons list was... Sorry, Brian.
No, it's okay. The couple demons lists that did well this weekend were extremely different from list to list.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say I think demons are in a nice spot right now where they are kind of able to decide how they want to... What they can look at, what is the meta fighting, and I'm just going to take all the other stuff. Like demons have a deep enough codex that they can just go in the opposite direction. You saw a list with like multiple great unclean ones do well, where they just go chonky, knowing people are going anti-infantry, and very easily if people go back anti-heavies, they'll be able to switch back to infantry spam. So I like this demon's flexibility right now.
They've got a lot of play.
Why don't we look at one of the demons list right off the bat?
Let's go
to the Mitcon GT held in Denmark.
Hold on, guys. We have to go with the obligatory super chat of like, comment, subscribe, and go blue. $1 super chat probability.
All right, so demonic incursion. We got Bellicor, Bloodmaster, Bloodthirster with the King of Blades, Rendmaster on Blood Thrones, Scarbrand, Skullmaster, and the Changeling. We got a unit of 10 Bloodletters, Nurglings, unit of 3 Blood Crushers, Fleshhounds, and a unit of Seekers.
You know, it's fun. I made that list of, or a similar list, not exactly this list, on the way home because I was talking to Blake, and Blake wanted to play some big hitting stuff because he doesn't like to play as much trash. And I said, Bellicor, Scarbrand, Thirster, Shellax, 3 Flamers, 3 Blood Crushers, 3 Nurglings, and 3 Fleshhounds is a hell of an army. You know what I mean? And lo and behold, this thing does really well. You just look at what it brings. You know what I mean? Also, these big boys can cut pretty much anything in half. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Speaking of plainless coming at you, when you got fly, you can just literally look like anime and cut something in half. All of those have monster attacks. You know what I mean? Especially if you're grounded around with Scarbrand. Dude's rocking 6 damage attacks.
Well, let alone you've got the Rendmaster who's on Bloodthrone who has the ability to throw out some really nice buffs.
Buffs on the strength and the damage and everything. Yeah.
Yep.
They have some juice on that. And I think that army could be, and that's what I like about the demons right now. While I don't think that they're the top, they did the top this weekend, but I don't know if they're the top on, is when you're looking at the tier list. I do think that they have the answers depending on which type of demon list you bring.
Yep.
I mean, sorry, that's what I'm saying. The regular, you're not going to take that out with Scarbrand because Scarbrand can't fly because none
of the airplanes fly in that list anyway, so it doesn't matter.
I was going to say, it doesn't matter because they're going to be hovering anyways. But yeah, Scarbrand can't fly because Korn sent him for an 8-day pleasure cruise through the warp after he sent him flying.
Then you look at the other big demon list from the weekend that went undefeated at Clutch City in Texas, ran by David Hall. It was Bellicor, which I think we'll see in every demons list. Great Unclean One, Keeper of Secrets, Lord of Change, the Changeling, 2 units of Nurglings, Pink Horrors, Plague Bearers, and 2 Soul Grinders. So you got some big boys and some shooting. It's got some beef.
To shuffle things around, Mr. Tom Ogden showed up out of nowhere, give me an RKO.
What's up, guys? Can you hear me all right?
Doing stuff and things. Let me show you what happened. Because of that, though. Kaboom. I fixed it. After the kaboom, we're back.
Give me a quick recap on what I missed. I do apologize. I got home
Demons
late
won a
from work.
6-round event. That's what you missed.
Oh, gotcha. Got home late for work, and then I opened up my laptop, and you guys seen what I shared in chat. I was like, "Oh, we're doing a random BIOS update." I'm like, "Awesome, fantastic, perfect time for this."
Fucking poor Zoob. Someone call services. It is in fact the baby boy.
My tech girl Brad Chester over here to fix my laptop for me.
But we were saying that demons did the best over the weekend, and I actually think that they are poised to make a bigger impact on the meta than they have in a long time, just because of the fact that the meta is so versatile right now.
I can see that, and just their point decrease they got not too long ago was just insane.
Yeah, I mean it puts them back in, but I think that they were heavily overpriced at the time, though, so that is a thing.
They came down to where everything, I think most of their big boys are very reasonably priced. You can play kind of a thick city-esque style list with big giant monsters and some trash to do well, which is fun.
And the thing is that's really all you need when you're looking at a lot of armies. Is all you want is your army to be competitive. You know what I mean? At least that's what I'm looking for. I just want to be able to play into things.
Well, I mean, the list that I was the most intrigued with over the weekend was from the UK. It was the South Coast 40K Super Major. David Gaillard's Astra Militarum list, to me, was one of the most interesting lists.
Well, you're not prefacing this nearly enough, Brian. We need way more backstory. So, for those of you who don't dip into the Reddit competitive Warhammer world. David Gaylord on his Fireside Chat podcast last week with I think it's Vic. Him and Vic VJ do it. I think I might be having that wrong. But they did a tier ranking of all their armies, and instead of doing A tier, B tier, C tier, S tier, all that stuff, they just grouped it by like how successful they thought the books had the ability to do. And they put Guard as one of the only 2 armies they thought were in the like can easily win a super major tier. Right? Or maybe it was 3 armies.
Yeah, but they're talking
and the
about...
internet exploded. They're like, that's bullshit. There's no chance that Guard can go win a super major. And what did David do to back up his tier list? He went out and won a super major with Guard.
Absolutely. I mean, and the list is, I enjoy the list because it has a lot of the stuff that I like from Guard. So you got a tank commander, Lord Solar, Ursula Creed. Then you got the beefy amount of battle line, 10 times Catachin jungle fighters, 8 times infantry squads.
Love this. I already loved it when you said 8-time infantry. You had me at trash.
So you're saying he's running my style list. Lots of bodies.
Bulgrin, Kasserkin, Basilisk, Manticore, Scout Sentinel, Chimera.
Yep.
Boom.
Is it single Scout Sentinels or are they running squadrons?
They are singles.
He's running all the stuff. And the biggest thing about this is also you have to give this with, it's the UKTC terrain, as KR was talking about. And they have wildly bigger opening lanes of fire. So you have a lot more just pew armies are able to just dominate sometimes there on that terrain.
Well, the nice thing is if you take this list in direct contrast with the Guard list that went 5-1 in Texas this weekend at Clutch City, which came in, looking for it, came in 5th place at 5-1. That Guard list is completely different. That Guard list has 0 Kasserkin and 0 indirect. It just has max Bulgrin you're allowed to bring in your list and like 2 tank commanders and a Dorn. So like I'm pretty sure I watched the stream this week. I think they were doing GW train. So like there's clearly multiple ways that you could build Guard right now. Their book's always been one of the deepest. They just have a bunch of stuff. So if you're willing, as you alluded to earlier, if you're willing to put the time into the army, all the armies are close enough right now that you can get results out of them.
I agree. You said that perfectly on that, because I think that there's a lot of what you're going to be playing on terrain wise for sure. Yeah, I mean, and you can even go more specific on that because you're going to look at what missions am I playing, you know what I mean? And really tech your list up and get the best thing you can for your faction. So,
yeah, I mean, as we've said time and time again, terrain matters. You know, if you're playing on GW terrain, your list is going to be slightly different than if you're playing on UKTC, player placed, or something else. And that always makes it more interesting because you can tech a little bit and design your list around things.
I'm going to go with Jake on the wall here. He goes, David checked in on the Meta Monday Reddit thread to say that he thinks Guard are as good or better on GW versus UKTC. I could actually see that, depending on which Guard you're bringing, to be honest with you, because of the fact that they can play the mission really. Whoa, somebody's got some really bad background there. So the you have like different ways to bring the list for sure. Oh, Brad, I don't hate it. I just don't want to play it.
I know you don't hate. I know you don't hate Guard. You just don't want to push.
I don't want to push that stuff around. But I really do think that Guard has been one of the armies that hasn't really been fully utilized in 10th edition at all yet. We're starting to see people really coming out of the woodwork. Now that we've adjusted the meta quite a bit, I feel that you're going to see more and more of these different style of lists coming out and people finding success with different things because you don't have the one thing that's just punishing everybody and you can't take things. We don't really have armies right now that are saying you're not allowed to take horde or you're not allowed to take big things. You know what I mean? We don't have the super extremes on that. So you actually can take a lot more stuff, which I think is really, we've seen in the last 2 weekends, we've seen a wild amount of different things, win events and do super well at the events. And I think that you're seeing more and more lists though that have one common theme, and that is even the lists that don't take a lot of trash are taking at least a decent amount of play the meta, play the game units. You're seeing a lot of that. It could be different units, but there's a lot of, battlefield roles. You're seeing a lot of, hey, what can I do teleport homers with? How can I do behind enemy lines? Does this army want to double cleanse? You see a lot of these armies that are playing for the ability to take fixed if they want to take fixed, so they can always have that answer if they're not giving away anything else. And I think that that's a big deal. And you've seen just more and more armies have that ability to just go, hey, I'm doing homers, I'm doing cleanse. Hey, I'm doing homers, I'm doing behind. Obviously, if you do, or you can do it, bring it down against people like that. But you're seeing a lot of these armies just tuning up to be able to do that. So it's all this damage, and then here's all my mission shit. You know what I mean?
Right. I think the people who've been, I don't want to say going to events because the boogeymen have been there for a little bit, right? Now that the boogeymen are gone, those people who spent the time putting in the reps with the army going, I think this is the best army I can build with this, and kept putting in the reps. And now that we're at kind of an open and balanced meta, they're able to pick off because they've learned their army well.
Oh, 100%. Uh-oh. Thomas Ogden is standing next to me. Since I missed the first one, obligatory go blue. God damn it.
Hey, did you guys, I know this is a 40K podcast, but did you guys see that it's possible that the Raiders might draft JJ McCarthy? I would love for Brad to have to spend the next couple of years cheering for a Michigan quarterback.
First off, look at actually, I don't know if you guys see it, Las Vegas Raiders shirt on as we speak. Go Raiders.
Yeah, but you cheering for a Michigan quarterback's not hilarious.
I think it would be hilarious because me and Brad are like diehard Raider fans, which I don't know how we're friends, both love the Raiders. He's in Ohio, I'm in Michigan. But if we get a Michigan quarterback there, I will buy Brad a JJ McCarthy jersey.
I'll be wearing it if he's crushing for the Raiders. I don't care. As soon as you start playing for the Raiders, I forget all of your past.
I'm gonna get him.
Brad is nothing if not a man without loyalty.
Yeah. Have blue jersey, you know what I'm saying? One of those weird ones.
So we'll rock that. But I want to go to the wall on this one. What do you guys think about Necrons drifting down to 50%? Do you think the Wraith Catan spam is too linear, countered by custodes, etc.? I do.
Here's what I want to say this though. I don't remember which event it was. It was one in England. I think it was Goonhammer. Yeah. So Goonhammer was one, I believe, by Josh Roberts with Necrons. Josh Roberts is the person that GW just hired as their competitive player balance advisor. And I love the idea that a MetaWatch video came out like a week or two ago. They were like, yeah, we didn't think Necrons were worth balancing without more data. And then the guy who works for GW is like, all right, well, here's your fucking data. Boom.
But it's the thing. It's the same reason I said that I thought that Necrons should be not touched for a bit, because the meta is going to start figuring it out, because you had different mechanics that you didn't see in a while. You know what I mean? So people were starting to figure out, how do I play against Catan? How do I play against Hypercrypt? How do I play against Court and stuff like that? And I think those armies are still, I think Necrons are in a great place. I just think that the meta is starting to catch up with, how are we supposed to play against this? This has these stratagems. They can fall back here. They can 3-inch deep strike and things of that nature. If the meta takes a while for people to get games against it, I can't tell you the amount of times I see someone where talk about it and they're like, oh, this is my first game against, Hypercrypt. This is my first game against Dark Eldar. It's, why? So people have to start figuring out, how do I play against that? And that's not a thing where we have to beat these things up with points and stuff. We have to wait a little bit for all of these, because if you're just talking about an army that just came out, you want to make sure that you're not just beating on them because everybody hasn't figured them out. I know I've used the old Grey Knights quite a bit in that, but they over-nerfed them back in beginning of 9th, where we took an army that was winning pretty big in the beginning, and then just kind of everybody figured out how to play against them. And that's a big deal.
I want to go on the wall on one thing here. We got Meta Monday coming in saying Stat Check is indicating that Custodes and Tau are the only ones keeping Crons honest. I agree with that, but it also makes me super excited for Tau. I don't know if you guys remember, like, when Custodes came out like 2 years ago, and they were just crushing the meta, and then Tau came like, by the way, go back on the shelves. I'm hoping that's what Tau does to Krons. 'Cause that makes me want to play him even more.
You're not gonna like it though, Tom, because the part of Tau that's keeping Krons honest is not Gundams, it's breachers.
Oh, it will be Gundams when I play them.
The best answer Tau has to all of the Necron models right now is breachers.
Yep.
Like, it doesn't matter if you're a Catan or a Wraith. The best thing we have at killing it is a breacher.
Just volume,
It
baby.
just lines up perfectly.
Oh, dude. Also, Corey literally put his list up, and it basically already giving me heart palpitations.
Yeah, that I was
Double
going to say something about
monolith,
that. That
vault,
just looks
and
like you're
double
playing
Catan.
Imperial Knights with extra steps. Like, why?
Hey, look, we had a guy this weekend at our local RTT who ran the big transcendent monolith thing,
That's right.
and two of the giant Forge World models, the big Canaptic things. It was hilarious watching him hypercrypt those around the board. It was quite funny.
Yeah, and Sag plus 18 bikes does all right into Necrons. Also, true story. When you're just like, hey, take 100 saves. That's a big
Yeah.
deal.
Care if that's true, I'm gonna just cry. Serious rumors are Custodes and Orcs are before Tau. I would
Orcs are definitely supposed to be before.
I mean,
Tau.
orcs are literally being held hostage right now. I don't know
Keep them held hostage.
where we're supposed to pay the ransom.
They're supposed to be within a few weeks of each other. I think it's going to be a little rapid change there for 40K. You got to think they just announced this weekend both the boxes. So you got the Orc box and the Custodes box announced on the same weekend. They'll be within a few weeks of each other.
Oh, my Tau Codex now. Remember that old commercial? It's my money and I want it now. My Codex and I want it now.
Are you a GG Wentworthing me?
Yes, he was definitely GG you. Wouldn't it be great if they just put all three of them out in one weekend?
That'd be sweet.
Yes,
Only if it's
actually.
the weekend right before ATC, because that would be historically appropriate.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
March out. Orcs and Custodes get one model and thankfully no book in the box.
Yeah, I just want to point out that Tom is over here frothing for a Tau Codex when the double Storm Raven Dark Angels list is literally the most Tom list I've seen in like 2 years.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
without
and he's
doubt.
not worried about that.
True story.
That is,
I don't
without a
even know
doubt, the
what-
most
I
Tom list
literally
I've
don't
seen.
even
Wait, hold on a
understand
minute. What
how
is
you're not playing
double?
this.
Double
So
Storm Ravens.
it's
What
the
is
list that won the Texas event this weekend, Tom. It is Dark Angels only, so you can take a Talon Master, which is about to get legended, and Azrael. Everything else is generic Space Marines. It's 2 Storm Ravens, 3 Tech Marines, 3 Redemptors, and some number of trash. And the basic idea is that your Tech Marines give out, or your Talon Master gives out -1 to hit and cover. One of your Tech Marines gives, or all your Tech Marines give out +1 to hit. One of them gives out like lethals. One of them gives advance and shoot to everything within like 6 inches. So you just advance the Tech Marine, advance all the Redemptors and both planes, which move 20 inches straight up the board. You poke your planes right over the top of all the buildings, and you just blast the entire army before they get to move.
Yeah, so here, let me give you the full rundown of the list, Tom. So it was called The Unkindness of Ravens, was what it was run
Unkindness. This kid's list, right?
by Kit Smith. It was Azrael, Talon Master with Master of the War Machine aura, Tech Marine with Target Augury Web, a Tech Marine with the Adept of Olmesh, Unit of Company Heroes, Ravenwing Darkshroud, Redemptor, Scout Squad, Storm Speeder Thunderstrike, Storm Raven Gunship, and then 4 Acolyte Henchmen.
So
Sounds like
important
if you
thing
go
is that the
second,
Storm
you're
Ravens
gonna
can
lose
each
the
transport a
Storm
Redemptor, fly 20 inches, the Redemptor get out within 3 inches of the Storm Raven, and all 4 can shoot through terrain.
Yeah, he does. Like, the
But-
Redemptors literally do a backflip and just jump
Yeah.
out.
Well, what happens if you go second and you lose your Storm Ravens?
Well, the entire list is -1 damage. You have armor contempt,
You're going to be -1 to
and
hit.
you have
You're
one
gonna-
of the Tech Marines just auto passes a failed
yeah,
save.
he blanks one. So
Yeah. And then even if you manage to hurt it but don't kill it, you're going to heal that Storm Raven for 3d3 at the beginning of your next turn.
I can see this
So
working. Though.
it is
It is
annoyingly
very
resilient
Tom-esque.
while also being hyper fast and shooty.
And you can table your opponent in 2 turns
He
without.
basically tabled Custodes in the last round on stream in 2 turns yesterday. Like, he functionally tabled Custodes in 2 turns. Now, he did go first on table quarters, which is like the best case scenario for the Storm Raven list, that you put your Storm Ravens on the line, drive 20 inches across the middle of the table, and just start blasting. Although I think he went sideways and got angles. But we actually, in our DOG versus Tundra Tactics scrim, did play against that list and that player, and it's very, very effective. It does have weaknesses, but it's very, very good at what it does.
It makes me think of that meme. It's like, and anyways, when I started blasting.
Yeah. Well, the thing that people forget is the Storm Ravens and the Redemptors are all -1 damage, so you can't chew through it quickly. They get cover from the Talon Master. You get Armor of Contempt, so there's just not a lot that's going to quickly pick that up. You can pick it up, but not necessarily fast.
Yep.
It's a very real list. I think people were toying around with it in England with 1 Storm Raven. I think people that like to win and just happen to have a Storm Raven lying around, you should probably expect to see that at your local tournament.
I love that. Just like to win. You're like,
Yeah.
I like to tie.
It's very, very good.
I will have to watch this match now.
Yeah. It's the last round on War Games Live yesterday, so you can go find it really easily.
Unfortunately, I had an absolutely insane weekend at home. Water heater went out, so spent a couple days doing that, and then work was crazy. So
well, I would say, Tom, that this would be a list you could look into playing for teams because it's very Tom style. The question is, I don't know how much it changes when the Talon Master gets yeeted, because the Talon Master is not in the new codex, so I don't know how much that changes the list's viability or not.
I don't think it does very much at all, dude.
I don't think it's that much. I mean, you might put it
-1 to hit and covers a big deal.
You might put another Dark Shroud at that point.
When does it get Legends is the question.
Should be this coming Saturday when
Saturday when the list is there. And it's the Talon Master, because the Talon Master, it's the Dark Shroud that's giving you the -1 to hit.
Sorry, the dark, whatever it is that's giving the
Wait, what's up this Saturday?
Dark Angels goes
the
live.
official release of the Dark Angels Codex.
Oh.
Yeah, whichever one's the -1 to hit and cover is the one.
What if it
that's the one I don't
doesn't
think
get
is around anymore.
Legends? That's the question I have to ask myself.
You're like, wait a second. Tom's just going to like literally write some stuff in crayon in the Dark Angels Codex.
Right here.
Yeah, the Talon Master just ignores cover.
Whichever one makes them durable
Master
is not around anymore.
You're talking about the Dark Shroud, right?
Yeah. Dark Shroud
the
makes
Dark
you
Shroud's,
-1.
the Dark Shroud's probably the more slightly more important than the Talon Master. I think
That's
the
the one
Talon
I
Master
meant.
is
I
very
apologize.
good.
Yeah. I meant the -1 to hit cover thing.
Yeah, Roy just comes
So
in and
they
goes,
got rid of
the kid literally said that he's going to, basically his only change is he's just going to add another Tech Marine. I don't think this list changes at all, to be honest with you, barely, you know what I mean?
Yeah, well, you're talking about taking out a 125-point model and putting in what, 70-point model with another Tech Marine and having points left over?
Exactly. It might actually make it better.
Yeah,
The question is, how do you
you know where my confusion is I think the list that we played against Kit in our scrim, I think he was playing his post Dark Angels Codex version of the list, because I do believe he had a Talon Master and 3 Tech Marines in that list. So that's probably why I'm mixed up. So yeah, the list was still hyper durable without that, if that's the case. So
yeah, I mean, the stupid planes are going to get cover because they're so wide that some piece of them is behind a wall somewhere, because, you know, cover's not exactly hard to get. You can't quite see the little tip of my wing. Looks like I got cover. Is that a cool rule? Probably not. Is it in the rule? Yep.
So I was going Royce. I think a Countess would make that list pretty good too. Be able to vex something seems pretty legit.
Well, it's the scoring thing too, because if you take out everything that has boots on the ground, basically, you can get pummeled. Then he has a hard time scoring. So adding anything that, just like I said, I think the list actually gets better if he has a couple more pieces, but because then he can just guarantee that he's scoring whatever he takes for fix.
So sometimes if you don't have that speed, that Countess assassin's super annoying to deal with.
100%.
I see someone on the wall talking about they think that T-Suns counters the Dark Angels list. Depends on who goes first, because the T-Suns can kill Dark Angels as fast as they can kill anybody else.
Yep.
But
sure,
you know what T-Suns hate to have happen is you kill their units before they get to move.
Correct, but that would be the biggest ever. That would be like the beginning of 10th in that matchup. because Magnus basically goes. Magnus would literally do a Tom and go, "I heard you thought you were resilient," and just smoke a vehicle.
Both of those armies are just going to nuke the other person. They're not going
Yeah.
to table them in one turn, but they're going to kill so much that
I
it's
mean,
going to.
you could just flip it. I mean, double Doomboat's a hell of a drug. You know what
Just
I mean?
strip the save. It doesn't matter if they have minus
Well,
one.
that's what I'm saying. You strip a
AC,
save off one,
so-
and then you just do mortals the
Yeah.
other one. You're like, hey, it'd be a shame if you had no armor save on that plane. Here's Aramon's flamers. Oh,
Yeah.
it looks like I've got the other one's just going to receive double Doombolt. You know what I mean? Because you do Aramon's once a game, free on the takeaway armor saves. Then you double Doombolt the other one, and then you just put Magnus and company just into that. And turn one, you just do monster damage. T Suns is terrifying still. It's just the fact that they lose those Cabal points and shit can go down for them. But man, that army can still punch up like a motherfucker.
Yeah, two things. I didn't want to agree with Meta Monday on the wall. The thing that makes the Iron Hand or the Dark Angels list surprising that people don't prepare for it is that they do have just some of the most powerful strats. They do have a strat for sustained and critical fives. And when you already have lethals and you open the target, it's just, you're killing anything. Doesn't matter what you shoot at. I did see comments on various internet forums and channels this morning that I did see a lot of people suggesting that T-Suns might be a top 5 army right now that people have been sleeping on. That they just seem to have pretty good matchups into a lot of the good armies. And then they still are just one of the best armies where if you go first, I'm just going to blow you up.
100% Roy goes the other
100%
way.
agree.
Roy goes, and the opposite happens. T Suns of the Dark Ages goes first. 1,000%, because they lose too many Cabal points immediately if the Dark Angels go first.
I've felt kind of guilty lately. I've the last 4 RTTs I've gone to locally, I've played the same T Suns player in the undefeated bracket, all 4 events, and I don't remember if I've gone first every time. But what I have done every single time, and I've played 4 different armies in all of our matchups, a different thing every time. I just run straight forward and kill as much as I can on turn 1. And as soon as you kill, like, even if you just kill like 2 units and like an extra character over here on the side, they just start running out of Cabal points immediately, and then they're just not as scary.
Oh man, that just gives me some chills. Brad says playing Dark Eldar. Just man, when Dark Eldar was in that heyday and Brad was playing them.
I liked them. I loved playing the Dark Eldar. Felt pretty good playing them. They had so much trash, and it made me happy.
No, speaking of Dark Angels, Brad, you remember the time when I dropped like $1,000 on all Terminator Army, and I was like so excited I was doing pretty good. I played Brad with his Dark Eldar, and he like tabled me in like one turn. I was like, "Yep, I'm done with this shit."
Yeah, like Terminators are gone. Raven Wig. Tom basically spun his hat, and on the front of the hat it said Team Deathwing, and then the other one said Team Ravenwing. Immediately spun it around. Yeah, I mean, it's big.
I like Meta Monday's comment on the wall. He's talking about how Tau just have a great matchup into the top of the meta right now, which is 100% true. If you went through, and I did this morning because I just wanted to see, I went and looked at every single Tau list that Meta Monday pulled for his events just to see like what people were playing. Every single Tau list was completely different. There was not a lot of overlap.
Yeah.
There are multiple people doing well in tournaments playing 0 crisis suits. You can still play 6. I saw people playing
0 crisis suits.
I saw one guy playing 3. I saw a list that did well, and by do well I meant either went X and 1 or better this weekend. There was a list with 3 hammerheads and long strike. There was a list with 50 breachers. I think the Tau list that did well at South Coast, it's either South Coast or MidCon, one or two, was almost my exact list that I've been playing lately. Like with one single unit difference, it was the exact list that I've been playing, and like every single list is doing well. If you understand what the Tau book is trying to do and needs to do to attack all the different matchups, the Tau list is very deep, or the Tau Codex right now is deep enough that it can attack most different armies.
Well, you look at that South Coast that you mentioned that went X1. Was a Cold Star commander in a battle suit, Farsight, broadside, like big broadside units, not little. Another broadside unit, and then a 400-point crisis suit, ghost keel, two Tetras, Vespid.
But the nice thing about that is if
Hold on, real
you-
quick. I want to go on the wall on something. I have a spirit animal alert. Tim B, you are my spirit animal. I don't even play Town. I hope their deck supports 18 suits. You know what? The next
if
time
their
we're at a
codex
tournament
supports
together,
18 suits, Tom's still going to quit because they're going to make new suits where you can only take like one of each gun on the suits or something.
oh, I
And
would
then
really-
Tom's just going to be mad.
Tim, for that comment, if we're ever at a tournament together, you come find me and drinks are on me for the night, brother. Remind me of that comment. And you can ask Brad. I will pay for drinks all night. Done it
True
20
story.
times, man.
Very true.
So before I get back to the South Coast list, to answer KR's question, not all the I mean, I guess maybe the majority had Triptides. All of the list had 3 heavy supports. So you were playing a minimum of 3 in some combination of Riptide, Hammerhead, and Skyray.
Skyray, yeah, I was just
Every
about to say,
single list had a mix of at least 3 of those 3 things.
And I think a lot of people were basically pulling the
Or
Riptides back
broadsides.
out. No, well, I'm saying I think a lot of people want to pull the
I'll
Riptides
get to
back
that
out.
list in a minute, Brian.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought Brad was saying something. Sorry.
No, my point on that is just I thought that we had a little bit of people just wanted to get their models that they had. A lot of people had, because Riptides were so good for so long, people just have
Everyone's got 3 Riptides.
Yeah, exactly. Everybody has 3 Riptides, but I'm saying they went down in points, and I think a lot of people just want to put them back on the board because a lot of people have like some amazing Riptides. You know what I mean? That they have painted up.
The Riptides do not shoot as hard as the Skyray, or probably the Hammerhead. I haven't played a Hammerhead, so I can't be sure. Does not shoot as hard as Skyray, but it is infinitely more durable.
Well, I got a good question on the board for Brad here. By Paint Celestine. Hi, all. I have a question. Why does a Redemptor Dreadnought's Macro Plasma Cannon shoot harder than a Castle Knight's Plasma Decimator?
Well, in order to shoot hard, you have to be on the table. So that's why. People are putting Redemptors on the table.
You know what?
Jesus,
That was a great answer. That was a great answer.
Sorry, what I was gonna say about the Kyle Grundy's list from the South Coast. His list does look different. I think he's the only list that when X and 1 are better that's playing broadsides this weekend out of like, I don't know, there's like 9 or 10 Tau lists on this list or something. But Kyle Grundy's list is almost his exact list from LVO, where he only made the changes necessary to keep the points legal. If you go back and compare this to the list he played at LVO where he won Best Tau, almost the exact same list, which goes back to what we said earlier. He has put the reps in with his list. He knows what each unit does and why it's there, and he knows how to play it.
I'm a big.
Kyle Gardner only plays Tau. He's been playing him for years.
We've seen a lot
Right.
of
But I'm saying his
diversity here.
list is very unique compared to all other Tau, and it just supports the idea that he understands his list and he knows what it's trying to do. He's put the time in. Yeah.
I still want to answer Paint Celestine's question. Why do we ignore the fact you have to be on the table? Because I thought it was a great answer, but funny. Why do we think Redemptors are having a better success right now than Castellans, who are way more points?
The Castellan just doesn't have as good rules.
It doesn't have as good. Yeah, exactly. Doesn't have as good of rules. Its defense isn't as good, and its cost a zillion times more.
Yeah, I was gonna say for the cost of 1 Castellan, you can get 3 Redemptors. So like,
Right.
that's part of it.
And why the GW has the rules like that? Yeah, I don't know. You know what I mean? Like a lot of the big shit right now doesn't kill what it should kill, but I do think it's hard. I'll give them credit for this. It's difficult to properly balance big models. So, and that's really why, to be honest with you, is it's easier to smaller shit is just easier to balance in the game. The big shit is either going to be either too tuned up or it just doesn't put out enough damage for what the point cost is, and that's been a problem for a long time. 100%. One of the things about what I loved about where I like where the meta is right now. I was going to look at the two top teams from the 8-man event, because the Pro Tabletop with Thomas Burden boys, they brought Sisters, Demons, Custodes, Death Guard, Tyranids, World Eaters, Marines, and Necrons, and then the Midwest, the United Midwest Project.
Yeah.
They brought Crowns, Custodes, Dark Angels, Death Guard, IG, Orcs, League of Otan, and Drakari, and that's a lot of different factions. I mean, like in years past, you would just see cookie cutter, depending if you could get the people to play the factions. You know what I mean? We have a lot of just difference right here where people just couldn't figure out what the best 8 armies are, and it's more so who the best players on those armies are right now. And I think that I like where we're going. I hope this continues. You know what I mean? We've got a lot of codexes, so there's gonna be a lot of rolling the dice here with that coming in the future here in the next couple months. But as of right now, there's a lot to be said for you can bring a lot of whatever, you know what I mean? Obviously, team events are a little bit different than that, but I still think even in singles, we saw like a huge difference in everything. Look at the last 2 weeks. I have the last 3 weeks in Meta Monday up, and we have wildly different results for factions in the last 3 weeks. You know what I mean? So people are doing generally, the armies that are winning in the 50s, but we had a lot of people just showing up and doing well.
Right,
GW
I want to go back
gonna
to the
do
wall
GW
because I think
things.
we dissatisfied Paint Celestine with our answer based on their comment. So the best answer I can give you, Paint Celestine, is that the Knight Castellan's plasma decimator, whatever it's called, is paying for the fact that there's 6 other guns on that night. Like they can't make any one night or any one of those guns as good in comparative to the rest of 40K as they would like to, because you're also getting all the other great guns on that night at the same time. So that is a dumb answer because we all understand fluff-wise it should be better than the macro plasma, but you can't look at it in a vacuum. It also has the Volcano Lance on the same model, which kind of matters.
All I'm going to say is GW gonna do GW things is the best answer.
To take it to the next step, to give that model something that'd be equally good, like fluff-wise, so game mechanic-wise, that would make the Castellan into like what do you call it? Apocalypse level model. You can't give it like a crazy amount of stats, and for a model to be in our game system, to be like if you want to blow out the Dread, right? It would just doesn't make sense.
Yeah,
I know it's silly, but
I understand that a Knight Castellan in comparison to a Redemptor should be the same as like a Knight Castellan compared to a Warhound Titan. But that's just not the way the game works. We have to give up a little bit of
you know who
fluff
brought
to make a functional.
You know who brought a Warhound Titan? Blake
Blake,
Law.
yeah, I meant to say that earlier. You're talking about how he hates playing trash, and he took the ultimate "I'm not playing trash" list and played a Warhound Titan.
The best is when he was like, Brad, I thought, because he won his first game, he's like, I thought the Warhound was gonna do some stuff. And then everybody just went, yeah, cool, it's a Warhound, and just scored a lot of points. And he just kind of stood there and just went, I'm a Warhound. They went, yeah, cool, man. I'm just going to take all the objectives. Like, damn it. They found out.
You can't kill us all fast enough, at least.
Weirdly, the Warhound, I don't know why, it doesn't have all the underguns that all the other knights have. It literally has 2 guns. Full stop.
It's because they're a scout. They're a scout type. They're not supposed to have lots of armament. They're made to be fast.
I mean, even the little knights have a bunch of like storm bolters and shit like that, though. This has none. It literally has 2 big guns.
Yeah, that's because I'm telling you, fluff-wise, they strip it of every gun it can besides minimum armaments for it can move fast. That's why it's supposed to where it can like.
He's just gonna run up and go, "Hey guys, what's up? Oh no, we should have put more guns on this." No bad.
His guns are the tanks that it kicks as it's running.
Well, so how do we feel for the meta has been shaping up every single week? If we had to make a prediction right now, how do you think the meta is going to be for the next, I don't know, say for the rest of the month?
Here's a prediction I'm confident making, Tom. The best army next week will be one we haven't talked about for the last 3 weeks.
Yeah, because it's been different. It seems like every week we're talking about a new army.
We're gonna have a new statistically best army next weekend.
I was gonna say something similar to that. I was gonna be like, next week you're gonna be talking about somebody went, hey, in this area I noticed this was happening, so I meted to this, and then it's gonna take over.
I'm gonna go to the wall again here. We got Meta Monday. Do orcs have real play in this meta, or do they need their codex to compete? They have play into this meta, but they really do want their codex.
Well, there's 2 problems though, right, Brad? What 2 armies have gotten popular in the last few months, last few weeks?
Well, Custodes is just the bane of their existence. So
right.
win
What's
rate's
the
just
other
going to
army
drop
that
down.
people are playing way more than they used to?
I mean,
Guard.
Death Guard.
Yeah.
Death Guard.
Death Guard are
Those
also
two armies
the bane
both
of their
pretty
army.
hard counter orcs.
Yep.
But also, guard's really good against orcs.
It's not, well, I'd much rather
Yeah,
play
I mean, it
Guard
can
than I
be,
would
yeah.
freaking Death Guard and Custodes all day long.
Those
man.
two just straight up are hard countering a lot of what the old orc lists were doing. And Death Guard has seen a surge in popularity as
Yeah.
they've become more playable. And then
Minus
with
2 to
Custodes
hit for
re-entering.
-2 to hit for my army seems bad.
All right, so
Yeah.
I kind of want to go to the wall here for a second with KR. He goes, we all saw the orc box that was coming. Is the Stompa meta coming? So what's up with that box?
I mean, the Stompa used to be good in 2003, I think it was.
Yeah.
So maybe it's time.
I mean, every 20 years roll back around. Sure, why not?
You know, I seen a stopper do really good to Michigan GT 2 years ago.
Yeah, true story.
Made
Those things make some
Yeah.
serious charges.
it all the way to the finals.
So,
Bread.
true story. I hope not, to be honest with you. I'd rather have more stuff not be there. Since I don't like
I
big shit.
I think what we need is the Morkanaut meta, because ever since that model came out, I have never seen it be good.
The Morkanaut and
The
the
best
Gorkanaut?
And the
Yeah.
Gorkanaut.
If it goes to the Stompa meta, watch Brad abandon orcs and me jump on that ship like, yes!
The-
This is
Brad's
what
not
I'm
capable
talking
of
about.
registering a list with any model worth more than 250.
Yeah, I will start to pass out. I'm just like, oh.
Imagine this roll for a second. Listen to this. Imagine Tau go all crew. And it's all like shenanigans, movement, and Brad switches to Tau. And like orcs went to Stompas and I switched to orcs. That would be hilarious.
That would be
Here-
funny.
I know we're at least a month away, maybe more, from the Tau book. I want to point out that I think there's a high probability in some fashion that we get an uppy downy Tau detachment, because basically every codex has had one.
Yep.
Vanguard Marines, Hypercrypt, Necrons, the AdMech didn't have one, but they just have a bunch of units that inherently go uppy downy. I think there's a real good chance, which is part of why I think they're going to change crisis suits to where you maybe have limited options and you can't make them as devastating each. Because if they're just going to come up and down and shoot every turn, you're going to need to have something toned down. I would not be surprised if we got an uppy downy Tau list like Daylith or something, Sept.
I would love it, and I would immediately be back on Tau.
I will be streaming my paint this week on Sunday. I'm painting
Yeah, Meta
10
Monday again. That's why I think they'll have to do something with crisis suits if they do that. Like the crisis suits each should have like 3 pre-designated weapons, and you can't change anything. And there's
God.
different pre-built loadouts you can get or something. I don't know.
Imagine
They
current
would have to do
cyclics
something.
I mean,
deep striking 3 inches
Crisis
away.
suits, you know you're only going to be limited to what's in that box.
Well, they just
What's
need
in
to
that
do
box
it.
is what you can take in 3 minutes.
Even if you did that, I wouldn't want a unit of 18 fusions uppy downy every turn. That wouldn't be great either.
You don't get 18 fusions in those boxes. You don't get 3. You don't get 9 fusions in each box.
Oh, I think it's way more likely that they just get rid of the cyclic on the crisis suits than they
I was just about to say.
are to do something crazy on the other guns, unless they just say there are 4 types of crisis units you can take, and each one has these 3 guns exactly, and you can't change any. That I
Yeah,
can see happening.
CIBs used to be experimental, and then
Yeah, I would not be
you could
shocked
put on
if those go
suits.
away.
you used to be able to only be able to put them on commanders back in the day.
Yeah, we'll have to see what they do. I wouldn't be. I've girded my butthole for if they decide to, make me clench in anger when the book comes out.
I hope I get a Fast and Furious list again. Like when I used to run Tau with just Christ suits with guns, it was the funnest I've ever had in 40K.
Well, that's
I'm
what
not-
just
we
started-
gotta get you to play.
I'm not gonna lie. All I'm
Brad
thinking
mad.
is 6-man crisis suit units deep striking 3 inches away and just murder shitting on stuff. And Tom, both of you guys just going hee and then just popping up again.
Excuse me, as this Christ suit was here the whole time.
Just give me uppy downy 3-inch away 6-man crisis suit, each with 3 flamers and far sight for +1 to wound with the flamers. Uppy downy every turn. I'll be a happy man.
Then you do reactionary moves also, so you just get to move deep strike 3 away, then move away, and then leave the table. That seems fair.
We're postulating far too much. We got custodes and orcs we got to get excited about first.
No.
The one thing I hope they do is I hope for Custode's sakes, at least for all the players who own Custodes and have for a while, I hope they make the bikes more playable.
Yeah. Drop something. That seems like the biggest thing. I don't know what sins the bikes are paying for. Because I don't remember them ever being oppressive. But man, they don't want those
they
fights
were
to be
pretty
good.
What rock were you hiding under?
Yeah,
They
it's
were
like
good, but I don't remember like
they were
I don't remember them being like
Bonkers
meta
style,
defining.
dude. They were
When I first came back to
crushing.
40K, I ran only bikes with Blood Angels and Guard. We got player
No,
attachment. I ran like 9 bikes.
Are you about back in like 7th edition?
Custodes jet bikes used to be just bonkers, Phil.
Yeah, 8th
They were
edition.
great,
Custodian
but
bikes were stupid.
yeah, I remember them being good. I remember most custodian units having like a unit of them.
Oh.
I remember the bike captains being a bigger deal than the bikes themselves, but I don't remember them being so powerful. Like someone was mentioning, the Knight Castellan's been nerfed because of 7th edition.
Hold
I don't
on.
remember.
We're going to the wall because we got final super chat from Kenneth Smith. YouTube doesn't like my comment. Take my $5 and say something nice about Blood Angels. Corbulu
right,
for
wait.
life.
Wait, hold on. Let me
You
pop
gotta
this
say
in,
more
ready.
than that, Brad.
This is my moment, right? These are my only 2 armies I play is Talon Blood Angels. Blood Angels are probably the 2nd best Marine chapter you can play right now.
I think
And
Double
if
Death
you want
Company's
to go deep,
all.
if you want to go deep in a counter meta pick as a Marine player, you should look at Blood Angels. Blood Angels are probably the best anti-meta list you can build right now.
Dude,
And why is that?
So if you are willing to go Gladius Detachment
it
or
bangs.
Sons of Sanguinius, both of those have access to Fight on Death, which Custodes specifically do not want to see. Necron specifically don't want to see that very much. The Lamartez unit with -1 damage is just the bane of Necron's existence because they will kill 6 race before 6 race can kill all of them with -1 damage.
And the
but
fight on
both
death's
of
huge because
those-
it crushes the Custodes. Custodes are trying to get they're
Custodes
trying
do
to
not want Fight on Death.
right
Yeah.
because they're trying to fight
Not good.
first and then they're trying to rerolls plus fight first and they're trying to pick your unit up and then you count as under half and so you get all the
Blood
buffs.
Angels Death Company with no jump packs, which almost nobody I know owns. I am making my last couple right now. Is the most anti-custodes unit in the game. That if you have them with a chaplain, the custodes come up, kill them as they do any infantry unit. You pop your free Fight on Death, or it's not free in that unit, but you pop Fight on Death. All of them, based on a new GW rules, see that the entire unit is below half strength. So they're already +1 to wound because the chaplain still counts as being there when they die. They all get double exploding 6s. They all have built-in full rerolls, and they all have a power fist that they're attacking with.
It's
If you're in
bonkers.
Sanguinius detachment and you pop this, you're still wounding custodes on 2s. So you just have full rerolls to hit, hitting on 3s, fishing for 6s, wounding on 2s, AP 2 damage. Like I don't even care if they're wardens, you're probably still losing the entire unit.
And it's bonkers.
So if you want to fight Necrons or Custodes as a Marine player and you don't want to go buy 2 Storm Ravens, Blood Angels are really spicy.
You know, I do like a lot of the armies are doing really well right now. We're doing that with the Blood Angels, but like anything with rerolls and either +1 to wound and or lethal hits, like the just the +1 to wound was just a huge difference maker this
Did your
weekend.
stream just stop?
What's that?
Did your guys' stream just stop?
No.
I
No,
see chat
I-
putting Fs, but I don't
Okay.
know why.
What happened? What the hell am I doing?
We're
There's
talking
F's
about
in
the
chat.
unit you just built. You talked about
Oh.
killing the Custodes.
Well, I also want to go back to KR talking about the -1 damage doesn't work on the Final Death. My understanding as they're saying it's good now.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, just
Oh,
That's weird.
I didn't lose for
Um,
me at all, so that's why I was
Yeah.
wondering.
The other thing I want to say is my understanding, and Brian might know more about this to be able to explain it, but the ruling that has been explained to me is that the way the Fight on Death strat works is that your opponent cannot pop strats in response to it. So you can't pop the -1 damage strat in melee because you're not being targeted in the fight phase. You're just fighting when you die.
It doesn't make any sense though. You have to target
Yeah,
somebody
I'm just
to
going
fight
by
them,
what
though.
the ruling that has been going
I get
around.
it, but
and
like, are you
making the
just
waves.
swinging
Yeah.
randomly and that's what's happening? You're like, ah.
I'm sure Brian
Well,
could look into
because
it more.
it
and get to
happens at
bottom
the
it
end
for
of
us.
the fight phase is when you get to swing back, or is it automatic on death? I don't
have to pull it up.
I don't have it in front of me, so that's
Yeah,
one of those.
I can pull it up while you guys talk.
Well, we're in the last 4 minutes. This is when we gonna
We
shout
can go
out.
over, man. Fuck it, we're doing it live.
I have my kids' bedtime at 8 o'clock.
Kids, He's been gone for 1 week. Now he has multiple kids.
Multiple
oh my god.
kids.
He's
Yeah, Brad
he's that
included.
fertile.
I have to call Brad on FaceTime and have to sing him a lullaby. I'm putting Wyatt to bed.
Look,
Brad
man.
doesn't sleep.
I can't go to bed unless I hear from Uncle Wyatt. It's a thing, guys.
You guys are welcome. Keep going. I have to get my kid
All
to
I'm
bed.
saying is 40K.
I will say
forecast.
specifically the way the fight on Death Strat is worded, Brian, it never says you target. It just says that you fight back as soon as that unit kills you. So you're not actually targeting that unit. You're picking that unit as when they attack, when they're done attacking, I get to roll attacks back.
Yeah, I'd have to
So
look.
I don't know if that's the correct ruling or not, but that's one that's been going around on the internet that's how that works. So
Hey, you are correct about that. If you get to do the charge, it gets a big deal. Hunter's 100% right on that. Fight on death seems great until a rhino grabs most of the squad. You're like, well, you kick the shit out of that rhino. Time isn't a real thing like birds.
The
So
whole
I
bird
guess
theory,
that's
by the
how
way.
I get to start shouting things out. Brad, why don't you shout out your stuff?
I did. I put it in chat too. 40K Lorecast, 40KLorecast.com, 40K Lorecast on Discord, 40K Lorecast anywhere. Go download it. It's my lore stream, and I love doing it.
oh, I'm sorry. This is really straightforward, Brian. You can only do -1 damage in your opponent's shooting phase or the fight phase. So I think if it's not your opponent's activation, you can't do it, right? So if you're fighting, if they're fighting on your activation, then they can't do it.
Without
damn
seeing
it.
it directly in front of me, I don't want to.
Hold on, everybody. $1.90 super chat for probability. Since Tom missed the first one, go blue.
So again, I would like to shout out the Salt City GT. Go to thesaltcitygt.com. Sign up for the 40K event. It is a 7-round event over the course of 3 days, and if you weren't there on Saturday night last year, you missed out. One of the greatest nights in 40K. So
True story. That was such a good time.
yeah, it was. And don't forget that my birthday happens to fall on that weekend, so there may be some extra cocktails involved.
Whoa. There's only so much I'm going to say. I don't
Say
want
it
to
out
get
loud, Brad.
I don't
No,
want
we
to
made
get
the rule.
I don't
We made the
want
rule.
to I don't want to
Every
get
super chat
I don't want to
costs.
get demonetized.
It doesn't matter. There's a rule. We made it.
Thomas
Every
Ogden
super
super chatted in with "Hail to the victors! Oklahoma State University sucks."
chat- Yeah, that's what I said. That's exactly right. I want to shout out better than 40KLorecast.com. What can I say? Titles in it, just better than 40K Lorecast.
But Monday, go see Dune 2. I'm excited to see that movie, by the way. Like and subscribe again.
Dune 2, I've heard nothing but amazing shit, so I'm ready to go see that movie.
Same thing here. I'm juiced and ready to rock and roll. Lyle, you know what to do.
Stay milky, my friends.
Stay milky.